Hey guys, Skyros here. This is going to be a guide for Ashwind Cave from Blade and Soul Neo. This is kind of similar to Tornwind Cave in Blade and Soul Live if you have played it, but a lot more Death Zone heavy and prone to vibes compared to that one, and way harder DPS check as usual. But anyways, let's get into the actual rotations. So his main rotation will be starting with 2-hit yellow attack, which is blockable, so you can activate your threat or whichever you might be needing. So 2-hit attacks, and then he'll be doing a red circle on the ground. So there is a extra mechanic or something that is attached to this, which is if you manage to SS out during this circle formation, like just when it is about to form, you just have to SS out and then you can dash back in and you should be fine. If you're a tank or melee, you will have to do it. If you don't do this SS into dash or SS and walk, then he will be targeting the closest person with a marker, and the marker, he will be dashing at the marker 3 times. You don't want this to happen because it will be losing you a lot of DPS if you're a melee, or if you have dot damage on the ground like Stone Slash or Rumble Beast, you will be losing quite a bit of damage by doing that. So make sure to always SS out and then dash back in or walk back in and continue your rotation. So if you do it right, like here, you can see, just go back a bit. You can see undense position here. So he will be assessing here when it happens, SS, and he dashed back in, and that way he avoided the yellow attack. And on successfully doing that one, he will be doing a shockwave like that one, and after that he'll be doing 2 lasers. Doing a laser. It is always targeted towards the closest person, if I am not wrong. So if you have a cat in your party and it is closer than your tank, then it will be aiming at the cat. So that is kind of a useful thing, so you can avoid getting it targeted towards the tank direction in that sense. And when he does that laser, he will also create 2 portals which are targeted at the 2 farthest people. And the way you should avoid this is by standing towards the right side or left side, whichever you prefer. So touch towards the right side, so it will create a red AoE towards the right side, and you can move towards the left side and avoid it completely. Make sure you're not standing like here of the portal and moving back or moving to the side, because that way it will create a red zone towards the tank, and it is going to be a lot of painful attack that is going to be targeted at the tank for no reason. So after that, he did two from the swipe, and then a red attack towards the shockwave, and then 2 portals. Avoid the portals by moving left to right, and we're doing the slam again, shockwave, and at 90% there will be a mechanic. So the mechanic in this boss happens at 90, 60 and 30%. So you'll be jumping towards the mid and casting a shockwave and then 1 more slam. You can easily just use your HM block like it was used here, or you can use the stealth. It would help your melees or whoever else to get into positions faster, and it will also save you a bit of time. If you don't have any iframes, you can always just SS out or Q and D to avoid these things. So during this mechanic, he will be marking everyone with a bell marker, and the way that we are doing it is each person will be assigned a position, which is usually 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock. So these positions are the order in which you will be jumping to trigger your bell. So each person having a bell above their head, and to activate this bell, you have to jump on your spot, which is pressing your space bar or whichever is the jump button that is assigned to you. So we cannot have two people jumping at the same time. So make sure this order is in which that you will be triggering the bell, because the boss will be tracking that person which is triggering the bell. If you don't trigger the bell, or two people trigger the bell at the same time, the boss will jump towards the center and everyone will be taking a lot of damage, and it will apply an extra dot damage on yourself. And it will also makes it so that he will not be taking a mech damage from this particular mechanic. Also, once he starts doing, like, you can DPS this boss and he'll be taking damage until he does this purple AoE. He will be taking full damage, but once he has this purple AoE on the ground, he will have a damage reduction. So if you are range class, you can stop DPSing at this point and go to your positions, because attacking anymore will not be doing any damage to that boss. Because 95% damage reduction means like you are almost dealing 0 damage. So the 12 o'clock position has already triggered his bell, and the boss has marked towards the 12 o'clock. So the boss will be jumping towards the 12 o'clock right now. So the 3 o'clock person will be triggering their bell right now, and the boss will jump towards 3 o'clock. And I'll be triggering my bell since I saw the boss jump towards 3 o'clock. The boss will be tracking me, and he will be trying to jump towards me. And you can use your SS or Q and D or whichever iframe which is doable without requiring you to move from your position. You can use it to avoid this jump damage, because if he jumps, and it will do like 250k HP of your damage, which is quite unnecessary to take for no reason, and it will apply 1 stack of dot. Jumping towards the next one, and since we successfully did the 4 jumps from the boss, he will be showing this message: Ghost Yomio failed to track the target and took damage, and he will be stunned for 2 seconds before he returns to the center. So in the next phase, he'll be targeting 3 furthest people with 3 orb attacks. So make sure one person is always going to be at the center, who is just going to be DPSing the boss during this time. So the person which is assigned to the center position should always be in the melee, in the center of this ring. Like in this case it is baby, and he's already at the position before the boss is reaching to the center of this position. And the other 2 people should always be in the position as assigned in this inner circles. So usually the person who will be in the 3 o'clock circle will either be the person from 12 o'clock, or it will be the person from 3 o'clock. And the 6 o'clock person will always be blocking the 7 o'clock circle, and the 12 o'clock person will always be blocking the 11 o'clock circle. So after this point, the boss will be teleporting towards the center, and he will be throwing 3 orbs at 3 people. And these orbs has to be blocked by the people who are in these 3 positions. And then the boss will start casting 2 AoEs. One of them will be a half room cone AoE, and another one will be a half room square AoE. So during this skill, you should enter into the portal if it is started towards you. Do not walk through this purple AoE, because that will make it so that if the portals are not being entered, then the boss will heal up 3%. So it is important to enter through the portal instead of just walking out of it. So now it is going to be targeted at me, and I'll be entering the portal, and that's it for the main portal mechanic. And now the 3rd portal will be remaining, and the boss will try to enter into that portal. You can DPS the boss until that happens, and now you can follow the boss through that portal. So in this part, he'll be marking 1 person with that zone marker. So usually the safe zones are going to be at 6 o'clock, and that sounds are going to be for 12 o'clock. I mean, it's basically wherever that sound marker person is going to be going. So this is the debuff that you should be looking out for. The orange one with some black corruption or something like that. So if you have this marker, make sure you are going towards the 12 o'clock. It's only going to be at for 1% on the 90 and 60%, but for 30% it is going to be 2 people, and we will see how it happens on when that happens. Okay, and here I'll be flying towards the 12 o'clock. The others will be flying towards the 6 o'clock. So make sure you are going towards the edge of the map, because these are dead zones. If you touched any of these dead zones which are marked as purple AoEs, then you will be instantly dying. It will eventually go out, like one ring at a time, it will be disappearing. So you can start moving towards the boss as it happens. So it is marked, it is doing a dead zone towards me, and we can go back to DPSing the boss. So here he needs to be knocked down or hit by something like stun. You can do stun if you have stuns. If not, just carry the boss, and you can grab it with summoner grab, or you can use Dreadmind from the Dark Lancer if you prefer to use that. It's very similar to how it is in Frozen Abandoned Mine, where if you don't carry the boss, you'll be doing a room-wide knockback, and he will also be gaining a damage buff for the entire duration of the fight from here onwards. You don't want that to happen, because you don't want to take bonus damage later into the fight, especially for the tanks. And once whichever grab, if you don't have a grab, he will be doing it right after, which is a 5-hit AoE room wide, and it can be iframed, and the last attack will be knocking back. So make sure if you only have a single HM block or stealth in your party, you are iframing the last attack. Like if you have an HMB, use it after the 2 attacks, so it will be lasting for the last 3 attacks, while also iframing that last attack which has a knockback. Same for stealth. For summoner stealth, you should use it at the 3rd attack, so it covers the last 3 attacks. If you have a assassin stealth, then they can just use it at the start, and it should cover the entire duration of the 5-hit attacks. But if you don't have any stealth, make sure you are avoiding at least the last attack. And then he will be going back to his normal rotations, which is Red Slam, which has to be SS, then Shockwave, then Laser, and portals, sound of portals, then True Swipes, Slam with Red Circle, Shockwave, and Laser, 2-hit swipe. So make sure you're going towards your positions before 60% happens, because sometimes you might be in the wrong position because of how the death zones are happening. So make sure you're slowly going towards your positions before the next mechanic happens. So it's 60% and it is going to be the same thing. We'll be jumping towards the middle, creating a shockwave, and another slam right after. And it's marking everyone with the bell. You should go to your position. So he's jumping towards 12 o'clock, then he'll be jumping towards the 3 o'clock, and you should trigger your bell, and you should SS to avoid this damage. And he is now jumping towards 9 o'clock. He is taking the mech damage. He did. Okay, so it seems that we did not have a successful mech damage there. So let's see what happened to him. So he jumped towards the 12 o'clock. He jumped towards the... So if someone takes 2 hits of damage, Like if one of first jump towards the 12 o'clock also hit the person in the 3 o'clock, then that person will have 2 stacks of debuff. And if someone has more than 1 stack of debuff, then it will prevent the boss from taking mech damage. So make sure you are not overlapping the jumps from the boss. So make sure you are always avoiding the one which are going towards the 12 o'clock if you are in 3 o'clock. So it's jumping towards Ryan, and he did not take any mech damage, so he's immediately going towards the center. We'll be blocking the 3 orbs. Enter into the portal. DPS the boss until he enters the portal. This time I don't have that marker, so I'll be going towards the 6 o'clock. And you should carry the boss right now. And then he'll be doing the 5-hit attack afterwards. And now it's back to the normal rotation. I think we can just skip towards the 30% phase. So same thing, we'll be jumping towards the middle, shockwaves. Make sure you are in position. We'll be jumping towards the 12, then towards the 3 o'clock, then towards the 6 o'clock, and towards the 9 o'clock. We'll be taking a mech damage because it was successful. We'll be targeting 3 people with orbs. Enter portal to break the portals. And this time the only difference is there is going to be 2 dead zone markers. So I am one of the dead zone marker, and there is another person who is also marked with a dead zone marker. So there is different ways you can do this dead zone thing. So the most common way that is being done right now is one person will be going towards here, and another person will be going towards this side. So 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. So once the boss will be doing 2 attacks. So the first dead zone will be targeted towards this guy. It is going to be covering this half of the map. And the next dead zone will be covering this half of the map. So this way 6 o'clock is going to be a safe zone. This much is going to be a safe zone. And the first AoE will not be hitting the second marker, and the second AoE will not be hitting the first marker. This is probably the easiest way that you can do it, or most common way that people are doing it. In this video we'll be doing it like this. It still worked. One person went towards 12 o'clock, one person went towards the 3 o'clock. So the first AoE was started towards the 12 o'clock, and it's going to be like this. Second AoE was started towards this side, and this person can move a bit to the right side, and he will be avoiding this, and this would be the safe zone. There's also one other way you can do it, which is both people going towards the 12 o'clock and then walking towards the boss and just queue behind the boss, or just 12 o'clock, or just SS towards the back of the boss, because both AoEs will be targeted towards this. So first one will be avoided, eaten up by the marker, but the second one will have to be iframed yourself. So whichever one you feel easier is to be done, you can do it that way. It shouldn't be that much of a different from the normal mechanic, but yeah. So I am going to be flying towards 3 o'clock, the other person is going towards 12 o'clock. And first one is started towards 12 o'clock, so I just iframed that. And now the next one is started towards me. And I avoided that by having that zone marker. So in 30% and under, his normal rotation remains the same, except there will be portals which are going to be spawning all the time. It's kind of similar to how it is in the tentacle boss, where under 30% is basically going to be a swarm of tentacles that are spawning and slamming onto you. So here the portals are spawning. So these portals are going to be spawning randomly at whatever location is there on the map, and it will be targeting the person which is closest to them. Since I'm the only person which is next to these portals, they are going to be aiming their attacks at me. So just if you see a portal spawn near to you, make sure you're not aiming it at the tank. So since this portal is going to be targeted towards me, I can stay here and just move forward. But this portal is now also aimed at me, and if I am standing here, then it will be aimed towards the tank. So make sure I have to be moving towards this direction. So this portal will be going in this direction, and it is not aimed at the tank. So this one is but some of them are unavoidable. But it is possible if 3 people are standing in this direction, like one person here, one person here, and one person here. So all the portals are always going to be aimed at one of these 3 farthest people rather than the tank. It should make the life a lot more easier for your tank in this way. So holding a position would be really helpful. And that's about it. There'll be portals, just avoid them and DPS the boss. There's a portal next to me, just avoid it, DPS the boss. And that's it. The dungeon is done. It is quite a lot more complex compared to a lot of the previous Neo dungeons, because the mechanic during the 90, 60 and 30% is like a long string of mechanics where you can cause a wipe if you don't do any of those things, because not having a mech damage during the jumps might be causing you to lose a lot of DPS uptime on the boss. And if you don't get a mech damage on the boss, that might cause you wipe, because you will need a lot more DPS with that. And if you don't do the portals right, then that will also cause a wipe. So 3 portals has to be spawned. If you don't spawn even at one of the portals, it will be wipe. And if you don't enter the portals right, then it will also cause a wipe, because that's even more healing towards the boss. So it's a possible wipe scenario, but it doesn't need to be a wipe. Yeah. And then the dead zone marker is usually the one which is causing the most amount of wipes, because people does not know which debuff they are looking into, and they might forget to look into their debuff and then go towards the 6 o'clock and end up wiping the 3 people which are on the 6 o'clock. So yeah, there's quite a bit of ways you can wipe this dungeon, but once you get the hang of it, it's quite interesting and really fun dungeon. I think personally this is one of the best dungeons we have had in Neo so far. Maybe the Naga one is quite comparable, the Queen Slayer, but this is quite up there when it comes to mechanics. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching.